Hey, listener, we just want to give you a quick content warning on this one. We have abuse, we have torture, we have gaslighting, we have really fucked up power dynamics. If any of that stuff is going to be difficult to listen to, go ahead and skip this one. That's cool. We'll see you next week. Don't worry about it. Hello and welcome to Who Are You? This is the Babylon 5 Watchcast, hosted by two former strangers, now friends, who have gotten to know each other while rewatching a classic show from their childhood, Babylon 5. I'm Xhafer.
And I'm Laura.
And today we're going to do a little bit of The One.
I think that this is really appropriate for today's episode.
Yeah.
You know, this episode has Sheridan answering a lot of questions or not answering a lot of questions. And
Yes.
I think it's only fitting.
Although ours will be significantly more friendly.
Yeah, we're going to be a lot friendlier with our conversation, I think, than poor Sheridan gets.
It's too early for that shit.
Exactly. That's what I was just going to say. We're recording a little earlier than we usually do.
Is this the earliest? I think this is the earliest.
I think it might be, yeah.
It has to be. I don't think we've ever gone, oh, Saturday morning? Yeah, that works.
But here we are.
Do you consider yourself a morning person?
Oh, no. Not by any stretch of the imagination.
So it's 11 a.m. local for me right now.
Yeah.
I have been up for 4 hours without an alarm. I had no cause. Nothing woke me up. That's just 7. I'm up.
Yeah. I got up at 7, but I have a sort of an alarm in that there's a little tiny person in my house that needs me.
Yeah.
Really the most influential alarm, the one I cannot snooze.
Yes.
Well, I have some questions for you today, Xhafer.
Yeah, let's get them.
And I would like to know, as we are approaching rapidly the last quarter of this year, 2023, what is the thing that you are looking forward to the most?
I have some plans. I've got some ad hoc plans and I've got some set in stone plans. I've got 2 concerts in the next 2 weeks.
Cool.
Yeah, 2 weeks. The next 11 days.
Wow.
Tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow I am going to go see Baby Metal and Death Clock.
Fun.
I have never heard Baby Metal before, and I don't really listen to metal.
Yeah.
But I like Metalocalypse the show, and so I'm going to go see Death Clock. And I've heard lots of like here's and there's and seen a couple memes about Baby Metal. And once I knew I was going to this concert, I have like, to the point of obstinance, avoided finding out anything about them. I've not listened to a single song. I want to have the live show be the first experience.
You want to go in fresh. For some reason, have also seen them about on the internet, not in context related to you. So I'm very curious.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes.
Let me know.
And then the other concert I have that will have happened by the time this airs, is I'm going to go see Sammy Ray and the Friends, who are currently one of my favorite bands. They're not like jazz or ska, but they have like a full musical accompaniment.
Oh, that's fun.
Of like
I
usually
love those.
saxophones and trumpets and stuff. And they're like alt pop rock, I guess. I don't know how to describe them. A friend listened to them and was just like, oh, they're like old-timey music. And I'm all like, it's not really what I think of when I think of old-timey. Like when I think of old-timey music, I'm thinking of like, and it's like, it's not really that. But
like big
I don't know
band,
how to describe
maybe
it.
that?
But it's not though. I don't know. They're their own thing, I guess. They're kind of just like an amalgamation of a lot of things. And you can probably find something you like there if you listen to most types of music.
Okay.
So I'm really looking forward to that. They dropped a live album about a month and a half ago, and it's got me really, really excited for the show because the live album is fantastic. It's probably my second favorite live album of all time right now.
Cool.
So yeah, concerts and plans and stuff. What about you?
I think the obvious thing that I'm most looking forward to in the last quarter of this year is all the babies firsts. It's going to be baby's first Halloween and
Hmm.
baby's first Thanksgiving and baby's first Christmas. Just, I'm so excited to dress her up in all the little outfits.
Yeah,
I have ordered a jammy for each holiday. She has a
of
Halloween
course.
jammy and a Thanksgiving jammy and a Christmas jammy.
Hmm.
I think that's one of the most fun things about having a little baby when there are sometimes a lot of not fun things about having a little baby.
Yeah,
But
dress up
also,
for sure.
yeah, we're also looking into taking a trip at one of the holidays. We haven't decided which one yet. It'll either be Thanksgiving or Christmas because as Aaron lost his father this year,
Yes.
and we would like to take his mother on a trip. She hasn't been on like a big vacation for a while since she was doing a lot of caretaking. And we would like to take her somewhere for a holiday and just all have fun together as a family and hopefully meet Aaron's sister and her family wherever and
Hmm.
just have a great time.
Yeah, I did that last year. My dad passed during COVID. My mom was a caretaker for 8 or 9 years
Yeah,
before
yeah.
that of taking care of my dad. And now that COVID had calmed down, we took her, my sister and I took her on a trip and we went as a family. And it was fantastic. It was one of the best vacations I've ever had, some of the best of just weeks, just
Mhm.
hanging out with my mom and my sister and
Mhm.
her boyfriend, who is one of my college roommates. We set them up.
Yeah.
And so that was a lovely trip. And I hope you have a similar experience. And in things looking forward to in the last quarter, you got to figure out what holiday you're going on. So that way I know when to come.
Yeah.
We have to figure that
I was
out
wondering if
still.
that was still on the table, so
It very much is. I have enough flyer
Yay.
miles to comp my partner and I's flights. So it'll be
Yay.
super easy for us to do. We just need to find the time.
I would love that. Yeah.
Yeah, that will be fun.
Excellent. I love it. I have so much to look forward to in the last
Yeah.
quarter this year. It's great.
We've never recorded in person. We might do
I
that.
know. Wouldn't that be
We'll
exciting?
see.
You'll have to talk to Aaron about what your rig setup is like so we could copy it.
It's the same. We
Okay.
have the same mics and everything, so we'll figure it out. I'm not worried about
Yeah.
that right now. But what I am worried about right now, not worried about at all, but what I am enjoying is fall. Fall
Yeah.
starts officially in a week,
Hmm.
per like equinoxes and stuff. But here in Michigan, the leaves haven't started falling, but it is currently 64 degrees outside.
Oh my God, that sounds glorious.
It's been like that for a week and a half here. It's been windows down all day. It's been
Okay,
so
don't rub it
nice.
in.
It got down to 54, 53 last night.
Man.
Like it's starting to get to the point where I'm all like, do I have to roll up some of the windows? Is it going to be too cold for the dog? But it's not. It's still perfect. So I love fall, and I got to know what are some of your favorite things about fall.
Well, not roasting to death is high on the list. We have finally come down from above 100 degrees, which I feel like it was
Hmm.
above 100 degrees for at least a month, maybe a month and a half up until now.
Hmm.
The last week has been actually down in the mid 70s. We're going to be up in the 80s again next week. You
Hmm.
know, 20 degrees lower is not bad.
Yeah.
So not roasting to death is very high on that list. But other fall things I love, I do like the idea of pumpkin spice. I don't get a lot of pumpkin spice. I'm not like the one who has to run out and get the PSL.
Hmm.
Um, but I'm a fan. I like the other fall flavors. Just a lot of cinnamon. A lot of cinnamon in my life is
Yeah.
really great in fall. We don't get a lot of foliage out here, so there's not a lot to see there, but it does start to rain again a little more, and I do like a nice just rainy day. I'm ready for that.
Yeah.
So, what about you? What is the best things about fall up there?
Well, I mean, my house was built on a former apple orchard.
Oh.
So my house is surrounded by apple trees. I've not put in the work to harvest fruit from them. Right now they are more a like make sure my car isn't parked underneath one cuz apples are falling
Uh-huh.
kind of a thing, but they're the size of cherries. Like they're very tiny apples on these trees. A lot of them are
Oh,
very
wild.
mature apple trees, so they don't produce giant apples. But
Hmm.
when I had first viewed the house, I actually thought they were all cherry trees.
Yeah,
I was very excited for that because I'm all like, is that a Rainer cherry tree in Michigan?
that would be so cool.
Right? And I mean, we do grow a ton of cherries here too. So it's not unexpected, but they have, there's probably within driving distance of me 15 different apple cider mills. And so it's like a thing here. Went out for my mom's birthday and it was, apple cider and art in the park was like the thing that
Hmm.
we did.
Oh, that's
So I'm
cute.
I'm here for cider season, 100%. I
Hmm.
love apple cider. I love making hard cider. I make a gallon or two of hard cider every year.
Oh, neat.
And then yeah, just that. I do love the pumpkin spice. I'm a basic bitch. I got no problem admitting it. Um, I got I at this point now I get the like creamer rather than going to Starbucks.
Okay.
And it's not even like I'm not even like particularly my own ass about it or anything. We have a lot of nice coffee in the
Hmm.
house.
Sure.
We became trade subscribers. Trade, hey, if you want to sponsor this podcast, and by sponsor this podcast, I mean I'll say trade more, and you send me free coffee.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I'd take that. So we do that. We get like fresh coffee that's been roasted within like a couple of weeks, delivered to the house every couple of weeks, and it's only like $4 or $5 more than just buying it from the grocery store.
Yeah.
And it tastes great. So we just make a lot of coffee at home, and
Hmm.
those fall flavors. I should make some Indian food. You can do
Ooh,
some
yeah.
fun stuff when you make Indian food at home with that pumpkin spice, like that gourd and spice profile, like some
Hmm.
mace and
Yeah.
some cinnamon, some cardamom, fry that in some oil, and then chop up a yellow squash and fry that in there and some onions and stuff. Yeah, that sounds
Mm,
good.
delicious. Yeah, I love those soupy curry type things in the fall too.
Yeah, there's so much good Thai food in
Uh-huh.
Detroit. It's like the low key sleeper cuisine of the city. There's just a bunch of Thai population that came out here at some point,
Hmm.
and so we have some excellent Thai restaurants. And yeah, get some
Mm.
Thai. That
Our
sounds good
our
too.
sleeper cuisine is probably Vietnamese because there's a big Vietnamese population that came
Mm.
to
Oh,
Oklahoma
I
City.
love
So we'll have
pho.
to go get
I love
some
pho
when you're
in the
here.
fall.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
that
got a
sounds so
delicious
good.
alliteration.
Oh, I might go do that for dinner. Shit. Changing my plans. All right.
Okay, I have one last question. And this kind of fits in with the theme of the episode, and that you
Yeah.
can take it in any way that you like it. So feel free to do that. If you want me to put some rails on it, let me know. But who is the one most influential person in your life right now?
This is a difficult fucking question.
I
Um,
know.
and there's a
It's
lot
not
of ways to
hostile,
take
though.
it. No, it's not
Hmm.
hostile. I mean, in like factual, probably like my boss's boss or like my CFO or something who's doing stuff at
Hmm.
work right now, which is impacting my day to day.
Sure.
In a
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
very like most influential person right now. But I don't like that answer, and I don't like thinking about work on the weekends. And as we
Okay.
established, it's a Saturday morning.
Hmm.
So I have spent a lot of my free thinking time over the last couple of months thinking about matching markets. And I might have talked about this kind of stuff on pod before here. Maybe I don't know if it would have come up.
Uh-huh.
So there is a Nobel Prize winning economist named Eli Roth, or Alvin. Eli Roth is the director who did Grindhouse and
I was like, I know the
Hostel.
name, but I couldn't put it with somebody.
Alvin Roth is the
Yeah.
economist I'm thinking of, and they couldn't be more
More
separate
different.
people. Except Alvin Roth does have a bit about organ donation, so I guess there might be a little crossover with that. kind of grimy style of horror. Ugh,
Mhm.
weird. My brain does weird things sometimes. Everyone who knows me knows this. um,
Yeah, yeah.
no, Alvin Roth is, as I mentioned, Nobel Prize winning economist who wrote kind of the seminal work on matching markets. And
Uh-huh.
matching markets are super interesting to me. And it's something I think a lot about because it's something that impacts our daily lives a lot more than the standard
Mhm.
market, but in weirder ways. So, listener, if you're not familiar with the economic term of matching market, a matching market is a market where both parties have to implicitly agree to a transaction for it to take place. So,
Okay.
when you go to Best Buy to go buy a TV, you don't have to have LG show up and be like, yeah, you can buy one. You
Oh,
have the
yeah.
money, you
Okay.
exchange the goods. So, examples of matching markets that are super interesting are things like I'd mentioned organ donation.
Yeah.
And that's where he got his Nobel Prize, is by helping align markets, helping align the kidney and liver donation systems to be more open and kind of helping build these databases to allow these donations to take place in triads instead of trades. When you're looking at organ donation, unless you have a direct line donor, it's very unlikely that the person who is willing to donate an organ, and this is kidney and liver, so this is survivable organ donation where they take 2/3 of your liver or one of your good kidneys for the donation, and then your liver will regrow or you live with one kidney. Usually the person who's willing to donate is like a spouse, right? But your
Sure.
spouse probably doesn't have similar biological makeup to you to be
Yeah.
able to donate. And
Hopefully
so
not, actually.
it's very difficult to find, okay, well, I need a liver and my spouse is
Mhm.
willing to donate, and you need a liver and your spouse is willing to donate, and your spouse is a match for me and my spouse is a match for you. And that's
Mhm.
how this worked for years. All through the 70s and 80s when this stuff was happening, it was very like at this hospital, you had to have someone who was willing to donate, who matched someone else who was willing, who needed, and all this stuff, right? For it to happen.
That can be a pretty narrow pool, yeah.
And so what this system did is it allowed for triad trades where now we're involving three donors and three people who need a donation. And that
Mhm.
exponentially increases the chances.
Mm.
And so just opening it up to allow this type of trading, let alone having the like system built to find donors and stuff, has saved tens of thousands of lives.
Yeah.
And so that's an example of a matching market and how that works. And then the other one is employment. When you get a job, your boss has to agree to hire you and you have to agree to take the job. And so I've been thinking a
Yeah.
lot about matching markets, and housing is like the huge one too, is someone has to agree to sell you their house. Realtors are a kind of like mask on a lot of that to help it not be super shitty, but HOAs are a whole thing where it is super shitty and you can be racist about selling your house. It's fucking terrible, but that's
Yeah.
America.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been thinking a lot about that kind of stuff, and specifically one of his books, Who Gets What and Why. And so I'll
Mhm.
say Alvin Roth. How about you?
Mm. Well, I'm going to take it a little more factual.
Okay.
And literally, the person who is most influencing my life right now is a little tiny person.
Yeah.
We started out as one thing for 9 months. We were literally one thing together. And now we are two
Mm-hmm.
things. And she's a little person who is not fully formed. So she needs a lot of help being number two thing. And it's one of those things that I don't know if you've ever considered having children. I know that's not something that is in your plans, but you don't really understand it until you do it, and that how much influence they're going to have literally on your every moment. And that, like I said earlier, she dictates when I get up, and she needs me at various times of the day for various things.
Mhm.
and I have to support her in being her own second thing. And guess what? We get to do that like all of her life, like
Yeah.
the rest of our lives. And it's one of those things you don't think about it, or if you do think about it, you really don't understand it until you're doing it and living it.
Mhm.
So that was, probably a huge adjustment for me with Owen. And it's going a lot easier with her because I have that experience of doing it before. And I can
Mhm.
feel it now as she is 5 months old, her like becoming a little better at being her own thing and pulling away just a little bit, like in the sleeping through the night. And she's working on her first two teeth. And she's just, I can feel her influence pulling away a little bit. And at the same time, it's a huge relief and just kind of a little sad. Like,
Yeah.
oh, this
Mm.
is how it starts of her like becoming independent. I can feel it starting, and it's beautiful, and it's like both happiness and sadness. It's a very strange feeling to experience. That is my factual
Yeah.
interpretation of the word influence.
All right. Well, wow. Thank you for sharing.
But speaking of questions, since we're doing a lot of questions this episode, I
Yeah.
have a very important question for you, Jafar.
What's that, Laura?
How exactly does a Dick and Fart Joke podcast review season 4, episode 18, Intersections in Real Time?
This is a real heavy episode with real heavy
Uh-huh.
shit. And I try to make jokes, and I need to preface everything that happens after this is abuse and torture are very serious things. In the real world, I would
Sure.
never make a joke like any of the ones that I may or may not make in the next 30 minutes while we talk about this episode, nor should you. They are not things to be made light of. We are reviewing a piece of fiction that is not real events and does not happen. And I have to put that mental wall up in order to make dick and fart jokes about
Right.
this episode because fuck, this episode is heavy.
It is.
Oh,
It's like an art piece, really.
yeah. Well, it was shot and treated like a theater production. You
Yeah,
know,
I could
they
see
would
that.
do the there's like the breaks where the interrogator leaves, and
Hmm.
they would do the scenes until they got it in order of the episode.
Okay.
So they were just like, okay, we need to roll that one back. Okay, let's start from the top and do the thing. And they treated it like a play that they did several times over the course of a few days, I imagine.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even it's got a black box set. Like
Yeah.
that's the
This is
art
the
of it. It's
bottlest episode that ever bottled.
exactly. I wrote that down. I was like, man, it's a bottle episode, but it's also like really high tension the whole
Yeah.
time, high drama. But I never picked up on this when I watched it the first time. But this is also a huge budget saver episode
Hmm.
because you literally just have this like one black box set. You have what, three actors really?
Yeah.
Like, okay, there's some more people that show up, but they're not giving lines.
Yeah. And we don't get a
Um,
good look at those security folks. That could have been Lou Welsh for all I know.
yeah,
The actor, not the character, I
yeah,
imagine.
yeah.
Yeah. Also worth noting that this was originally planned to be the season 4 finale. So
Tell me about that.
there's the whole thing. We talked about it a couple times on Pod where Babylon 5 looked like it wasn't going to get its 5th season for most of the
Hmm.
production of season 4. The network it was on, P10, was literally going bankrupt. There was all kinds of stuff going on. So
Yeah.
most people were under the impression that season 5 was not happening, and so there is a rush throughout this season. I mean, they compressed 4 episodes into the previous 10 or so without looking at when the actual moment was offhand to get to this point. And then after this, we have what would have been probably a third to 2/3 of season 5 in 4 episodes.
Mm, yeah.
Knowing JMS, probably a third. So probably like that first 9, like how we got in season 4 here, where the Shadow War's over by episode 8 or 9. it probably would
Yeah,
have been like
which
that.
was just crazy, right?
Yeah. But yeah, so there's a whole bunch of stuff there, but this episode is very much it's get intact comparatively. There's no B plot, there's no other stuff going on.
Mm-mm.
It's just
Yeah.
Sheridan's interrogation is the whole episode. Sans a little bit of flashback of Garibaldi's betrayal to set up how we got exactly here.
Yeah. Yeah. We start off with these two flashbacks. We have one from Garibaldi
Mm-hmm.
setting him up, and then we have also Ivanova's objections
Yeah.
to all of that.
So it starts with Sheridan lying on the floor. A table and chairs are brought in. The first question is about allergies and medication. I would assume that this is on file. Maybe not current medication, but definitely allergies would be on file. But that's likely the
Yeah.
point.
Right. So, what are the three questions he asked here at the beginning? Allergies, medications,
Heart problems.
heart problems. There was a third one. Oh, I can't remember it. But there's the way these three questions are delivered is very poetic. Did you notice? Especially the second time he said them. I was like, this
Mm-hmm.
sounds like a poem almost. I don't know if it was written in a particular meter. I should have like done the math on that, but
Yeah.
it sounded very musical to me.
Do you have any allergies or illnesses I should be aware of? Are you currently taking any medication? Have you had any problems with your heart?
We're introduced to the pain givers, a Narn device
Mhm.
used for interrogations, and I'm guessing other fucked up power dynamics.
Yeah.
Given the Narn's history with slavery and the Centauri, this seems like a weird fucking thing to have around.
Yeah. Like if this was a device used on them, why would they keep it and sell it to other races maybe?
Yeah. After this, we get the start of what is a consistent thread in this episode, which is abuser bullshit. You're doing this to yourself. I'm not doing it to you, despite me very much doing it to you.
Yeah. There's a lot of interesting mental gymnastics happening
Yeah.
from our interrogator here. Oh, let's talk about our interrogator. Mr. Bruce Gray
Yeah.
is our interrogator. He's our one of two guest stars in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
So, of an episode where we only have three people, two of them are guests.
Yeah.
But he's kind of a mini sci-fi that guy. He was in 3 of the 4 90s Star Treks. Everything but Voyager, it looks like he's done a guest spot on, and Starship Troopers. He was one of
He
the Sky
was in
Marshals.
Starship Troopers.
Yeah. So he got
Wasn't
some of the
he?
like highlights of the era, I think, to be in Babylon 5, 3 of the
Yeah.
4 Star Treks, and Starship Troopers. Like, that's not a bad little resume.
No, that's solid. We go to theme, and when we're back, Sheridan has 2 ring lights for his sleep selfies. It's so hard to make jokes. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, this is a torture device designed to keep him awake and to make sure any sleep he does get is miserable. But humor. That's
Also, it's just really great lighting in this episode on this black box. Just like
yeah.
very bright.
Mm-hmm. The interrogator begins the fuckery with some "is it day, is it night?" When the real question is, does it matter?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Uh,
Who cares? Like, oh, and as he like is going through his little what day, what time is it? Showing
mhm.
off the lights and eating his sandwich. He says that you can't eat corned beef for breakfast, and I want to know what kind of sad life this guy is living that you can't eat whatever you want whenever you want.
I don't like most breakfast foods. And so I
Okay, yeah.
definitely will eat a corned beef sandwich for breakfast. But also, more importantly, this is corned beef and hash erasure.
Exactly. That's the first thing I thought was like, has he never had corned beef and hash? What a sad life this
I
man leads.
love corned beef and hash. It is
Yeah.
like one of the few breakfasts when I go out that I will order,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll make it at home sometimes with a little Calabrian chili.
That sounds delicious.
It is very good.
See? Gosh, I can see why this guy is so miserable.
He starts to eat that sandwich, ignores them for a bit. We get some questions about political ambition. Framing the revolution around his lack of political interest, And taking such a political action are contradictory, so obviously he was outside influenced.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He just
Speaking
makes
of,
anything mean whatever he wants it to mean.
yeah,
This is a nice setup for the rest of the episode.
exactly. It's lunchtime now, and so he starts to eat his corned beef sandwich. I prefer horseradish over mustard on my corned beef,
Yeah.
but this is all just a setup for truthiness, because facts are mutable, right? And
Yes.
I have a really hard time with this, if you'll allow me a moment of pontification.
Oh, we can always allow you a moment of pontification, Xhafer. Look,
Thank
how
you.
long have we been doing this? Go for it.
A while. The interrogator here is mostly right, but for the wrong reasons.
Okay.
And allow me to say, dear listener, you are allowed to change your worldview and accept what is right and what is wrong. May not be what you once considered them to be. This does not make past you incorrect every time. It definitely can be. But every moment is filled with inexplicable nuance and complexity. What matters is not a steadfast adherence to principle, but rather constant examination of those principles. Because if you have become overly comfortable with your perception of reality, it is likely that you are missing something. It is impossible for us to know everything, even in hindsight. So being wrong is not a personal failing. It's only a failing when you fail to recognize that you are wrong and not learning from your mistakes. I fucking hate how rigid most aspects of society and insisting that everything is something, even if it's just for someone else's comfort, so that they can remain right and lazy rather than learn and grow. Which is all to say, I paused this episode, got up, and made myself a corned beef sandwich in the middle of this. And I don't know if that makes me a bad person or not.
No, I think that if I were to sum up this little truthiness monologue in speech, the key thing that it is ignoring is inputs. It's not just that we decided Minbari were the enemy and then we decided Minbari weren't the enemy. There was new inputs of information at some point. As with the Oath to Earth Force, at some point there were new inputs of information. It is okay to consider new information. And I see people in our society ignore this all the time. And I don't know if it's because, like you said, there's a fear of being wrong. Like the word wrong is just so scary to people that they won't even consider the new inputs. And it's like, well, if you have information now that you didn't have before, it's okay to change your mind.
Yeah. Right?
It's okay.
I've had people, and these are people who did not take COVID seriously, be all like, well, the CDC said that masks weren't actually going to be helpful at the start of the pandemic, and they were wrong about that, so they were probably wrong about everything else. And it's just like, motherfucker, science is about testing things and learning and correcting itself. You have to let it do that. It's not, some dogma that is right for the sake of it being right. It's right because it's right. That's not how science works.
Yeah. I think you could look at it too as truth is somewhere veiled under many, 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 many things.
Would you say that truth is a three-edged sword?
Yeah, it's like that. And when we're coming at it from our one point of view, we're going to see it obscured by some of those things that are covering it. And if you get new inputs and you uncover a little bit more and you're getting closer to the truth, that's not it changing. That's your point of view of the truth changing.
100%.
And that's okay.
What's not okay is JMS's choice here to spend the next 30 minutes just showing us Sheridan violently puking and shitting all over the room after he gets poisoned. Really weird choice that the episode is just 30 minutes of that. But that's it. That's the review. So, Laura, on a scale of Babylon's 1 to 5.
Yeah. I didn't know some of those colors existed, man.
And that's how a dick and fart.
We did it.
We brought
it in the poops, guys. Nailed it. Everybody go home. Yeah. Do you think his sandwich was really poisoned?
Oh, I mean,
Do you think he really built up this poison tolerance and then
the sandwich is like cut in half? It's not like he shared a bite or anything. He didn't baby bird him or nothing. Like,
right.
Probably not. probably no
Mm-hmm.
point in that, unless you're worried about getting
Yeah.
poisoned.
True.
There's
he really
historical precedent
Vincini'd
for
it.
this. I'm trying to, I can't remember there was a king who like was super paranoid about getting poisoned, and so he had built up this tolerance, and then got disposed, and he tried to kill himself with the poison, but he had built up the thing and couldn't kill himself with the poison and get out of like his shitty
Oh, too
situation.
bad.
Yeah, and no sympathy for 1% here.
Deposed rulers. Yeah.
I'm sure you were really great to the peasants.
Yeah. He was a real Gul Dukat about the whole thing.
Yeah. So we come back after, quote, the mess has been cleaned up, and the time scale changes once again. He says it's been 4 days now, not 2.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sure.
And it's time to update the records, starting with Ivanova. And then the interrogator tells Sheridan his dad says hi.
How's everybody's father feeling today?
Hey, Xhafer, this episode just gives me a ton of questions.
Yeah.
And one of them I have, because we've entered territory where I don't 100% remember every aspect of the plot.
Yeah.
Is Sheridan's dad still alive for real?
Yes.
Is he though? Okay.
Yes.
Right. I think I'm supposed to be wondering
spoilers?
that in this episode, though.
You are 100% supposed to be wondering that.
Yeah.
I think we see Sheridan's dad one more time in this show.
Okay.
Like the
All
actor
right.
has a part still, I think.
Okay.
Sorry, listener, for spoilies. I know
I mean, it could always be like a flashback or something.
Yeah,
But we are going to get the
I'm pretty
actor
sure we
again.
see the actor again at the very least.
Yeah. I can see it does have cliffhanger energy, really, doesn't it? Because I have all of these questions. Like, dang. Okay.
So the interrogator starts to read Sheridan's confession to him. Sheridan refutes all of these charges against him, and the interrogator is just gone off. He's just like, there's no chance you're going to escape. You have no hope, no future. He really breaks into a verse of one of my favorite Darkness of Hillside Thickets songs. No black, no white, no source of light, no second chance, no end in sight. Also, Darkness of Hillside Thickets, what up?
Okay.
They are a
I'll have
Cthulhu
to-
rock band.
Oh, yeah, that's very specific.
Yeah, they are niche as fuck. They have a sci-fi concept album called Spaceship Zero that's a bomb. You should check it out. It's great.
I'll do that.
We go to commercial again after this, and then we return to the interrogations. The interrogator is constantly leaving the room like he forgot something, and he does that like 4 times this time.
Mhm.
And it looks like he forgot a Drazi, played by
Oh, boy.
Wayne Alexander. I knew who this was from his eyes, even underneath
Yeah.
all that Drazi loaf.
It was the voice that got me.
Yeah.
Like, unmistakable. So, okay, question time again.
Yes.
Is this actor choice deliberate
Yes.
in that? Yeah.
Confirmed.
Okay.
Confirmed by JMS. Deliberate.
Yeah.
Like we weren't going
was
to
like,
do
this
an
feels like 2
interrogation
nods.
episode without him. Yeah.
Yeah. We're nodding to he was Jack the Ripper, the interrogator,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then also I feel like we're nodding to the fact that he was also Laura, and Laura did kind of have some alien influence on Captain Sheridan, right?
Yeah.
I mean, big time in that he brought him back to life.
Yeah.
Very delicious. Good
Yep.
choices.
Yeah, it's rarely does casting a guest actor add so much nuance as it does here, which I just appreciate the hell out of.
Mm-hmm.
The Drazi offers a confession. Sheridan tries to get him to reignite his spirit to fight this, which he does successfully. The Drazi gets taken away on a stretcher, and we get an explanation of how expendable is as the Drazi is, well, we're led to believe the Drazi is executed off screen.
Yeah. Do you think that he is executed, or do you think that he isn't?
Oh, we see him again later.
Yeah, but when we see him, is it really him?
That's fair. Sheridan is hallucinating at that point.
He
But it
has
is really him.
hallucinated other things.
Someone asked about this on the Usenets,
Okay.
and he's all like, no, the Drazi was working with EarthGov the entire time.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah.
I liked my headcanon a little better.
That he was hallucinating the Drazi.
Yeah.
I dig that.
Yeah. I think it's a little more fun and because he hallucinates Delenn coming up here in a few minutes, I'm sure, to gives himself strength. And if he hallucinated the Drazi, giving himself strength again, I think that's a little more entertaining than, he's just EarthGov plant or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the way that I do my process to prepare for recording an episode is I read all the Usenet stuff first and then I watch the episode. And I might have said that before on pod.
Yeah. So you can catch stuff. Yeah. Okay.
I can place it at appropriate times in my notes,
that
and
makes
reference
sense.
it when it comes up. And so because of that, this time I hadn't even considered that the Drazi could be a hallucination because I had already read that Drazi was working with EarthGov bit.
Oh, I think it's more fun to wonder. I'm sorry you didn't get the wonderment.
Well, I got it vicariously now.
Yeah.
The investigator puts his podcast on repeat to increase his listen count and then leaves the room so Sheridan can really let it sink in.
Oh, man, I hadn't thought of that.
You don't just play our podcast when you're not in the room? All the listens we could have. We need to put out a 30-second episode and just repeat it. We'll catch up to Gray 17 on listens.
Yeah, take that, Gray 17.
Congrats on your huge milestone, by the way.
Yes, we are very happy for you.
Anyways, do you think that's how they did it?
We should ask Scott.
We'll ask Scott next time we talk to him. After this, the interrogator comes back, turns off his podcast, and he checks the IV, and he gets close enough for the painkillers to really, they should have kicked in. He's right next to him. And I'm wondering if it's it's only if Sheridan moves close or something. That's not how they explained
it's directional.
it working, but that's probably how it works.
Yeah, okay.
And whatever, it's sci-fi. There's aliens and spaceships. Right. I'm willing to make certain concessions.
Mm-hmm.
Lots more of the you're self-destructive, making me hurt you bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And Sheridan's like, you're just gonna kill me. And the interrogator's like, well, yeah, but not until you're forgotten, so you aren't a martyr. And this is when Sheridan sees Delenn behind the interrogator, and he's yearning for freedom. He grabs his pen to sign the confession, but instead of his name, just draws a giant dick. And there, we got a dick and a fart joke in the interrogation episode. Nailed it. Probably the first episode where we've had a dick and a fart joke.
What a milestone for us.
Right.
Take that, Gray 17. Man, other question time.
Yeah.
If he's on an IV at this point, how long has it been?
He's
without
getting
intravenous
water,
nutrition.
Days. He might not even be getting intravenous nutrition.
He says nutrition.
Yeah, he says all kinds of shit. Fuck him.
Oh, true. Okay. Fair.
It could just be water. It could just be saline, just whatever. It could be something to make him, it could be drugs to fuck with him.
True.
For all we know, it's been 5 hours since he was captured. And they're just giving him stuff
fluid.
to fuck
Who
with
knows?
his sense of time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that we are on the precipice of having as scientific discovery right now. Is there's hormones in your brain that impact how you perceive time.
As a postpartum mother, I 100% agree.
Yeah.
There's got to be.
Well, there is. It's something your brain produces when you're younger and stops when you're older, which is why time goes faster as you get older. This isn't just a collective perception, made up thing. This is actually your brain. Drives that took felt like they took days as kids that you go and make as an adult and you don't think about. It's this chemical in your brain.
Yeah. Wild. Weird. Right. I can see developmentally why that might be important, though.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
So the interrogator's just last chance, bro. And he's just fuck off. So the interrogator packs up. Everything is out of his hands now. But he comes back to try again kind of desperately. They're just going to kill him and fake him reading the confession.
Yeah. Posthumous confession is the threat at this point.
Yep. Sheridan turns the interrogator's words against him. He wins every time he says no. He's thrown on a stretcher and taken to room 17. He overhears the last rites, but only sees Delenn in the distance. In the room, an executioner is there. Everyone leaves. The room is revealed to be the old room. The executioner is the Drazi, and a new interrogator starts exactly where the last one did.
And scene.
This is a terrible thing to do to someone, as is all torture, just to reiterate what we've said a handful of times.
Sure. Torture bad. Got it.
This is the best trick this episode has. This is such a mindfuck. Like, and I mean, knowing it's coming, we've seen this before. I remembered this bit. And so I'm just like waiting for it. I thought it was earlier in the episode. I thought we got more with the second interrogator, to be perfectly honest. But
I
just
could see
like,
that too.
man, just the way this cuts.
Yeah. I really liked thinking of the cloak coming off of the executioner and being the Drazi as just like him hallucinating the Drazi, like to give him strength of like, you know, he convinced the Drazi to keep going.
Yeah.
And his hallucination was trying to convince him to keep going. But it also is like super mindfuck where it's like, yeah, we're just controlling everything and nothing is real and it's all hope is lost, my dude.
Mm-hmm.
And if this had been, as you said, the season finale, oh my God, how crazy would that drive you until the next season?
Oh,
I mean, that would have been so delicious. I feel bad that JMS was robbed of this moment.
I have gone on record maybe a year or two ago of talking about missing the season end cliffhanger and how spoiled everyone in streaming land is right now, myself included, to be clear. And I felt very strongly that that was the case because you get so much anticipation built up in the background of your life waiting for that resolution, especially when you're so attached to the characters. Like, I remember Best of Both Worlds when I was a kid.
Yeah, that's a famous example.
And all that. And all the anticipation and waiting out that summer and stuff. And I have to say, now, with Strange New Worlds ending on a cliffhanger and the strike preventing season 3 from being able to start filming.
Oh, yeah, that's torture.
I take back my words. Fuck you past me.
Yeah, a lot of our shows that are doing some sort of cliffhanger in streaming land, it's like when? We don't even know when.
Yeah, if ever. Because there's going to be a ton of stuff canceled because of this.
Yeah, it's so scary. It's not just that like excited anticipation that we had for best of both worlds. It's like fraught right now. Oh, it's so scary. But I mean, I hope that what comes out of this is that people get the good things that they deserve. Yes. Our creators, our writers. I hope it doesn't come at the cost of their current art. So support your local unions, everybody.
100%. All right. Before we get to our ratings on this episode, we do have a message coming in on Babcom right now.
Sheridan.
Ooh.
Victor from Dominion Media and Television wants us all to know that he fucking hates this episode.
He's given his first fuck this episode rating. Aww.
I love it, DMT. He said 0.5 Babylons out of 5. I don't know if he knew fuck this episode was an option. He tells a story about a pizza party when he was a kid on Discord. So you should join our Discord and read that story there. I'll let him tell it again, or you can dig through search history. But yeah, just wanted to share that, pass that along. But I agree. Fuck this episode. This is an hour of torture porn. This is Eli Roth's favorite episode to come back around. Like, it's an important episode for a couple of reasons. But I don't think the greater show is served by Sheridan suffering this much.
Oh.
I think you could have had this be half of an episode and maybe it wouldn't be as impactful, admittedly, especially knowing that you've got your accelerated rate and that this wasn't going to be the cliffhanger. Honestly, I might feel different about it if it was the cliffhanger without changing anything with the episode except that. But it's just, God, just fuck this episode.
I'm going to give this a fuck this episode as well, but And is this our first
Double fuck this
double fuck
episode?
I don't know. I can't remember.
I don't think
know
we've done it
I've
before.
given one when you didn't give one, and vice versa.
Yeah.
But have we both agreed?
I don't think we've both
know.
said fuck this episode before.
I'm going to say fuck this episode, but I wouldn't change a thing about it, actually, because for me, this really establishes how fucking bad Earth is.
Yeah.
And how desperately awful things are there, and why obviously we had firing on civilians, and that was why we started doing what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, this establishes why we have to finish doing what we're doing, because Earth is awful.
All right.
And fuck this episode, because I don't want to believe that we become this in the future. I'd like to believe in a Star Trek future.
Yeah.
Like the original Star Trek future where, Gene Roddenberry insisted that everything was utopian, and we were like becoming our best selves. Like, I really, really, really want to believe that that's where the human race is going. And fuck this. I don't want this to be who we are.
Yeah.
Doesn't particularly look super hopeful at this time in our development. But, I just want us to be better. Be better, everyone.
Yep.
So, fuck this episode.
Fuck this episode. But maybe not fuck next episode. We'll see next
maybe
week.
Not.
But we got
Tell me about it.
Season 4, Episode 19, Between the Darkness and the Light.
Okay.
Ben's going to be joining us.
Oh, yay. I knew it was soon.
Yep. Ben's going to be joining us next week for this episode. Ben being a previous guest, a previous co-host of this when I was sick with COVID, filled in for me. And also is my co-host on my other podcast, Last Time On, which I will shout out now, and we will talk about more next week, most assuredly. Give a little status update on how that project is going and all that. But
you've gotten into post Breaking Bad.
Oh yeah, I think we recording wise we're almost done with our second show, and release wise we're not terribly far behind. I think we've put out the first 2 or 3 episodes of Into the Badlands right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. We look forward to hearing from Ben next time. But tell me what this episode is about.
Lita, Dr. Franklin, and Garibaldi set out to rescue Sheridan. Ivanova is informed that a trap is being set for the fleet.
Okay. Sounds like a different kind of high drama.
Yeah. So we'll be talking about that next week. But before we get there, we, of course, have to say thank you. Thank you, Jeremy Siegel, for our lovely theme music. We appreciate it and you. You can find more of Jeremy's work at jeremysiegel42.bandcamp.com and also on streaming services as Nuclear Jaguar. As far as we're concerned, you're the only Jeremy Siegel who makes music, Jeremy.
Yeah. You're the most important Jeremy Siegel.
100%.
Much better than any other Jeremy Siegels who make music or any other Jeremy Siegels who do economics. And also thank you to Angry Duck Time Machine on Instagram for our podcast artwork. And a big thank you to the most influential person for this podcast, Aaron. Thanks for editing.
Appreciate
and making
you.
things happen.
Thank you so much. So much of my life. Thank you. So many hours.
It would not be happening if Aaron was not editing right now, y'all. It's the truth.
100%.
So.
And thank you, listener, for choosing to spend, I'm guessing after edit, about 50 minutes with Laura and I this week as we talked about probably the darkest episode of Babylon 5. Hope that you at least gleaned something, if not a little chuckle from this episode. And join our community Discord. Send us your season 4 thoughts. You should still have time. Maybe this is probably last call if it isn't already too late. So go ahead and send us all that stuff, please. And then we'll talk about that in our season 4 recap episode.
Yeah. Looking forward to it.
All right. Take care, Internet.
Bye.